Renovations are coming to the Crossroads Mission Avenue in Hastings thanks to a $1.5 million grant. Local 4's Andrew Collins is live in studio with a closer look at that. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning, Alyssa. Upgrades are set to happen both inside and outside of the facility to help the shelter take care of people in need. Crossroads Mission Avenue got the grant award from FHL Bank Topeka's 2025 Affordable Housing Program. With the money, the facility will see critical improvements, including upgrades to HVAC systems, windows and exterior doors, as well as electrical and plumbing systems. Executive Director Daniel Buller says he's looking forward to the facility being more handicap accessible once the renovations are done.
Over the years that I've served at Crossroads, I've seen over and over again where somebody comes in a wheelchair or has a walker or some kind of restrictions that we haven't been able to serve them well. And so by equipping the facility with better handicap accessible restrooms and showers and even living quarters, we can just serve those guests better.
Buller also says those renovations will help because the growing demographic of their population is 55 and older, with many residents in their 70s and 80s. And Crossroads Mission Avenue is still looking for donations and volunteers to help with the renovations to the facility. And to learn more about how you can get involved, you can check out this story a little bit later on our Local 4 News app. Alyssa, back to you.